Good morning, Bucknutters. Tuesday, February 16th, 2016. I'm Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. As has become our Tuesday custom, joined by Duane Long from the capital city of Columbus. Duane, how are you this fine, gray, blah, cold, surprisingly snowy time of the year?
That's about how I am, blah. I've had enough. It's time. Hadn't had a rough winter, but it's time for it to go away. We're getting there, though. Every day we get closer to spring.
Speaking of spring, I want to let everybody know this before we get into some chatter here. We're going to talk a lot about Trey Sermon today. We will have access to 3 Buckeyes tomorrow. Shocker, they're making Pat Elfline, Raekwon McMillan, and J.T. Barrett available. Dave and Steve will interview them and be in the group. That's going to be around 9 a.m., so we'll have plenty of coverage coming tomorrow. We don't get to talk to these guys much, so it's definitely something you want to be tuned in for, especially considering 3 weeks from today, spring drills start. From what we've heard, that's going to be a relief for those to get out from under Mick Marotti's direct thumbprint. What we wanted to talk about today, though, was a certain recruit who is on campus, Trey Sermon, running back out of Georgia. Very good start in the recruiting process, class of 2017. If you look at his crystal ball, it's above 60% to Ohio State. It looks like they may be able to pull another star out of Georgia. What did you think of Sermon when you watch him on tape? Who would you compare him to? And how does he rank in terms of your wish list for running back in the class of 2017?
The kid's big time. One of the elite backs in the country, great-looking body. He's a guy who can run between the tackles. He can take it wide if you need him to. He showed hands in the passing game. He's got vision. You're watching this kid pick his way down the field. Love what we see out of him. He runs with real good power and good balance, breaks tackles. He does everything you'd want him to do in a back. I got him top 5 in a really good class. It's not a great class, but it's a really good class. Now I want to see the Buckeyes continue to go after Najee Harris. He's another level, but Sermon would be really outstanding to add to this class. He's a kind of guy that can come in and play relatively early. He's well put together, Dan. He's a kid that looks like he's taking care of himself. He's consistent in the weight room. And he's going to be ready to play relatively early, and we may, who knows what's going on with the early entries. We could see Curtis Samuel out of here, the way they keep talking that he's looking to leave after this year. And so whether he's playing wing back or playing running back, it looks like we're not going to have his skills available to us in 2017. So we're going to need to bring another back in here, I think, too.
Yep.
We'll see if the class can fit him in, but I'm thinking we need to take 2 backs next class. And Sermon really does fit the bill as a guy who can come in and play right away.
If you watch him play, he actually plays a lot like Ezekiel Elliott. He may be a little bit taller, but one thing he does that Elliott does, I love, his pads are always pointed downfield. If you look, he doesn't take a lot of big shots, and when he does, he's usually on balance. He's very north-south. I mean, he does have some wiggle, but he is not, and his first goal is to one cut and blast through there. I was very, very impressed. They showed him blocking. Now, I don't think it's realistic to ever expect a back to come in here and be the blocker that Ezekiel Elliott was, but I was super impressed with Sermon. He does, like Elliott, too, he doesn't necessarily have that 0 to 60 that some of the more explosive backs has, but he's a long strider, and you can tell he runs some track because when he gets up to top speed, he really separates. So just very impressed overall.
He's one of the really outstanding backs in the class, yeah, and you know, like you said, I love the guys that get north quickly. He's going to get his pad square and be ready to take people on if he needs to. He's got that subtle thing about him when he cuts that he makes guys miss without, you know, it doesn't take clean shots.
Yep.
When you get a bigger back, a strong guy that doesn't give defenders the opportunity to hit him clean and square, he's going to be hard to bring down. And you see the balance. He gets hit a lot and just seems to stay on his feet and keep his legs moving and get moving forward again. Really outstanding back. somebody that could really help his football team.
Yeah, no doubt. It sounds simple, but if you watch, his pads take a lot of the hits. I know that sounds simple. He does a real good job. Just watch the tape. His shoulder pads take so much of the contact, which is a very smart back and very impressed. Just a great athlete, too. I mean, they have played him high pointing the ball out and put out wide, so he can do a little bit of everything. Definitely high priority. I know Najee Harris already verbally committed to Alabama. It's one of those guys you always got to have room for, but I think a more realistic option is our man, Trey. I think it's looking pretty good, such with the crystal ball. Speaking of which, we've talked about a lot of the positions for next year, one of which we haven't had too much discussion about on this show with Duane is running back, to segue out of running back into another one. It seems that some people think it's going to be Curtis Samuel. Some people think it's going to be Mike Weber. There's some who think Br'ionte Dunn's going to get the first shot. Warren Ball's going to take a shot at the MAC rushing title at Akron. How do you see it breaking down, or do you even see a guy like a freshman Antonio Williams getting in there?
Oh, I think Br'ionte Dunn is going to get the shot, and I think he's going to hold on to it. He's run well. The thing that you have to look at is he's run well when he's been here, and I think fans have lost track of him because they're not seeing him. Well, Ezekiel Elliott was a ball hog in a good way. He wanted it every time. If the other team would have let him change uniforms and come over and run the ball for them, he wanted the ball all the time. And it was just easier to let him have it than put up with him. Dunn is an awfully good back when he's been in there. That's the one thing. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry here at Ohio State. He's going to get the top number of reps. I think they want Samuel out at wingback. I think that's where they wouldn't have put him out there in the first place. They wanted to get him more touches, and this way you get both of them more touches. Then I think Weber gets in there. Antonio Williams. Yeah, he's a kid that's physically ready to play, and I think mentally he's ready to play. And, Urban Meyer talks all the time about not liking the red shirt. Well, why red shirt him? You get Samuel out there. Remember, we lost Braxton Miller. It looks like we're going to play a number of guys. We don't know how many guys are actually going to get touches out at wing back. To me, that's where Curtis Samuel belongs. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be running into the line that many times. I just don't see the kind of body that's going to be able to take that. He's going to wear down as the season goes on. Put him out there at wing back and throw him the ball, get him the ball out in space. He's explosive as he could possibly be, especially if Dunn's hanging on to him. Now, everything as far as I'm concerned, if Dunn just does not look like he can do it. If he doesn't, then they're going to kick Samuel back to running back, no doubt about it. But we'll see this spring. I'm going with Br'ionte Dunn until he shows he's not capable of it, and I think he's capable of it. And that gives the staff so much more versatility because they still can put Samuel back there on certain things that they want to use him at. But you put him outside, and he showed well out there when they got him the ball. But now Marshall's gone, Braxton Miller's gone. We don't know what we got with Johnny Dixon and his knees. I think that Curtis Samuel is the fit out there at wing back, and Dunn is your running back until he shows he can't.
It does feel like they want Samuel to get more than 50% of his snaps. That's a Bill Kurlick conservative statement, but in the slot at wing back. But it's going to be interesting because if you're going to ask me who the most talented every down back on the team is, it's between Weber and Antonio Williams. So Dunn's going to have to play very well to hold them off. I'm not saying he can't do it, and he's certainly going to have an advantage scheme-wise from the start, but I'll bet you that next year, Antonio Williams, Br'ionte Dunn, and Curtis Samuel, maybe when we got each rush for over 100 yards in a game. And I'm not talking about on the jet sweep, which is technically a pass anyway, but I think you're going to see a little bit more by committee, and we've been spoiled over the last 2 years to have, 2 years from now, Ezekiel Elliott and Carlos Hyde could be 2 of the top 5 picks in fantasy football. So we've been spoiled. Very interesting discussion about running backs. We're going to try and do this with Duane throughout the offseason, kind of boil down onto one position for a show, unless there's some other juicy news out there. We appreciate your patronage. Don't forget, like I said, we will be meeting with the players tomorrow. We'll get some good stuff from those guys, Elfine, McMillan, and Barrett. Definitely your spokesmodel for the 16 season. And we got a great boarding house coming up later today with some very interesting news on linebackers. So keep it locked in, Bucknutters.